Welcome everyone, I am Smog, and today I'm going to take you through the next class for DPS range, and that is going to be the Marksman Hunter. Marksman Hunter has always been a very fun spec, but it's kind of been falling behind Beast Mastery for quite a few expansions. I think I stopped playing it right around after the first raid in Legion, but there's a potential that Marksman Hunter has just topped the list as far as the DPS meters go, as well as could be a very viable spec for you to play. As a reminder, guys, I do stream on Twitch every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Links are down in the description below. And as always, if you do want to see more Clash reviews as well as how-to guides, make sure that you click that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, and turn those notifications on so you know when the next video does go live. All right, guys, let's get into it. Let's break this down. Everything you need to know to play a Marksman Hunter in Shadowlands. All right, so let's go through the strengths and weaknesses, starting off with the strengths. The strengths of the Marksman Hunter is they have potentially the highest AoE and single target DPS of any hunter spec. One of the big bonuses they do is a strength and a weakness. They do not have to rely on the pet for their damage. However, getting into weaknesses, they do not have the pet, so their survivability does go down quite a bit. If you're leveling with them, you are going to have to take the brunt of that damage, and that can be a little bit of a problem. Also, their damage is a little spiky, especially with the long cooldowns of aim shot and focus fire, and they do not have that mobility that Beastmasters do. Beastmasters can cast on anything during their rotation with moving, whereas the Marksman Hunter does require to stand still with some of its primary casts. All right, so let's go ahead and go through the stat priority for the Marksman Hunter. Critical Strike is king again, followed very closely by Mastery and Versatility. All three of these are actually very close, and depending on what your gear is weighted toward is what you should probably lean more towards. And then last but not least is going to be Haste. As always, these stat priorities do kind of change as the game goes on, and I highly recommend that you do simulate yourself using Simulation Craft or something like Raidbot. All right, so gems, enchants, and consumables. Number one you want to go after is that Leviathan's Eye of Agility, as well as go ahead and try to get one in the Kraken's Eye of Agility as well. That'll give you 2 gems with agility. Then for the rest of your sockets, go ahead and gem Critical Strike wherever possible. All right, so as far as your weapon enchant goes, it kind of honestly depends on what you're doing. If you're doing a raiding, you kind of want Sinful Revelation just because it adds an additional 6% of damage from you for 10 seconds. However, for Mythic Plus and AoE, you do want that Optimal Target Embiggener. This is going to give you a chance to increase your Critical Strike by 303. On your chest, go ahead and get that Internal Skirmish. That's going to give you 20 agility as well as an opportunity to inflict shadow damage. On your boots, Eternal Agility, that's going to give you another 15 agility. And on your rings, go ahead and get that Tenet of Critical Strike, adding to that as our primary stat. Potion of Spectral Agility is going to be your go-to potion. And inside the raid, obviously Gluttonous Hedonism is the best food, but other than that, go with the Critical Strike food. Spine Flynn, Souffle, and Fries. Oh, delicious. All right, so let's go over your talents. So I am going to give you 2 different talent builds. I'm going to basically give you a single target or raiding one, and then I'm going to give you an AoE and Mythic Plus one. So at the end of this, I will show the single target and the AoE builds in the talent trees, just so you guys can see side by side on which ones you guys should be doing. All right, so level 15, you've got 3 choices here between Master Marksman, Serpent Sting, and a Murder of Crows. The Master Marksman is really the only choice here, and I would take it in both situations. It basically puts a bleed on your target for 15% of the initial damage done by your critical hits for the first 6 seconds. Serpent Sting and Murder of Crows right now are simulating well behind it, so Master Marksman is the easy go-to talent for all situations. All right, so level 25. So Careful Aim is a very cool talent for single target. It basically allows your aim shots to do 50% more damage to those targets that are above 70%. That basically balances out math-wise to about 30% of the time you're doing 50% additional damage, or about an increase to 15% per aim shot. Even the extra bonus DPS given by opening with this is still could outweigh even the initial damage. So the other talent you got in here is Barrage, and then you have Explosive Shot. Unfortunately, Barrage is just not up to par simulation wise. It's way behind on everything. Explosive Shot though is the go-to one for AoE and Mythic. That's the one I recommend. It is not great for single target, so if you are in single target encounters, make sure that you do have careful aim. But in Mythic Plus especially, Explosive Shot is simming way above the others. So Explosive Shot, if you've not used it before, basically it is a 30-second cooldown, but it basically fires a projectile at a group of enemies, and after 3 seconds, it's going to explode and do a whole bunch of fire damage. All right, so level 30, again, just like the Beastmaster, this one is no different. Natural Mending basically reduces the cooldown on Exhilaration, which is basically our self-heal. I just feel like this is far and away the best talent in this in all aspects. All right, so level 35, Steady Focus basically allows your steady shot to increase your haste by 7% when you use it twice in a row for 15 seconds. This is basically ideally for all single target situations. And technically, if you can keep it up 100% of the time, which is highly unlikely, it is actually better for AoE as well. However, most people cannot keep that up because it is of the timing window with it. And so for that, with AoE situations, I highly recommend Streamline. Streamline will increase the damage done by rapid fire by 15%, as well as lower the cooldown on your aim shot by 30%. And it'll also cause your next aim shot to cast 30% faster. All right, so level 40, just like Beastmaster, I'm going to recommend Post Haste. The other ones you can find maybe some type of situation where it may be beneficial, but getting a 50% speed and boost every single time you get to disengage, to me, is just more beneficial, especially when running back for corpse runs. Just trying to run around dungeons and raids, having any type of movement increase is very beneficial. All right, so level 45 is a no-brainer. It is going to be Double Tap. Double Tap is basically a 1-minute cooldown, and it causes your next aim shot to fire an additional aim shot. When you have trick shots active, it'll cleave up to 5 targets. This thing is absolutely insane. Or it'll cause your rapid fire to do twice as much damage in focus because it doubles the shots in the same amount of time. Double Tap is by far and away the best one in this one. The other ones just fall so far behind. The only real choice here is Double Tap. All right, so level 50, another fun one. This one has 2 different variations. So depending on single target and rating and AoE, obviously for single target and rating, you're going to want Lock and Load. Basically, Lock and Load makes your auto shots give you a 5% chance to be your next aim shot free and an instant cast. So by far for single target and rating, make sure that you use Lock and Load. For AoE and Mythics though, I do recommend Volley. Volley basically will allow you to put a target on the ground. A big volley of arrows will hit the area, doing a lot of damage over 6 seconds. The other good thing about Volley is that trick shots will affect this cast. If you don't know what trick shot is, it basically, anytime your multi-shot hits 3 or more targets, it allows your next aim shot or rapid fire to hit an additional 5 targets for 50% damage. All right, guys, and here is that side-by-side comparison chart just so you guys can see. The single target is going to be Master Marksman, Careful Aim, Natural Mending, Steady Focus, Post Haste, Double Tap, and Lock and Loaded. And then over on the AoE side, you've got Master Marksman, Explosive Shot, Natural Mending, Streamline, Post Haste, Double Tap, and Volley. All right, so let's go through your rotations. We'll start off with single target rotations, then we'll move to AoE. But a couple things that you do want to recognize is that there are 2 big buffs for marksman hunters that you definitely need to make sure that you understand. All right, so for AoE, the biggest one, as I mentioned before, is trick shots. Trick shots is anytime that your multi-shot hits 3 or more targets. Basically, your aim shot or rapid fire shot will hit an additional 5 targets. So this one's very important to pay attention to. Both of them are very important to pay attention to, but this one is extremely important, and that is precise shots. Precise shots basically is applied to the target every single time that you cast aim shot, and it puts a buff on them so that the next 2 arcane shots do 75% more damage, which is huge. So when that buff is on, you want to make sure that you take advantage of firing that 1-2 arcane shots. Make sure that you're firing off that arcane shot. All right, now that I've explained that, let's get into your rotations. All right, so let's go over the single target rotation. All right, so here's what your opener sequence is going to look like. All right, so you're gonna start off before the start fights, you're gonna hit Double Tap. Then you're going to go right into casting an aim shot. Jump in and hit rapid fire. Fire off 2 steady shots. Activate your true shot. Cast another aim shot. And then rapid fire again rinse and repeat. All right, so I'm actually going to help these guys pull the fight this guy down, just so I can give you guys an idea of what this is going to look like. Just because he's an elite mob, he won't die as quickly. Hopefully this guy doesn't fall over. So hit, fire off, double shot, aim shot, fire off both of your arcane shots, rapid shot. We immediately pulled him. Arcane or aim shot, fire off both your arcane. There you go. You get your free cast. Fire them off again. As you can see, this thing is absolutely melting. Problem being we're actually pulling aggro. All right, so for your AoE, what you're going to want to do. All right, so as always, in the beginning of an AoE fight, so fire off double tap, fire off your explosive shot, then fire off volley. Activate your true shot ability if you do have it. That way volley will be taking care of trick shots. And then after that, you'll substitute in multi-shot to keep those trick shots active. So as far as covenants, conduits, and soulbinds go, so the covenant, see, the very first one that we're talking about is going to be the first rating one, and that is going to be for Night Fae for the Marksmanship Hunter. It just provides a little bit better DPS. Your Soulbind is going to be Naya, and that is going to work for both single target rating as well as Mythic Plus. Your Conduits, I'm going to recommend Sharpshooter's Focus. Powerful Precision is very good for single target and rating, and Deadly Chain is very good for AoE and Mythics. So basically, the best one for Legendaries for the Marksman Hunter, if you can get it, is the Serpent Stalker's Trickery. This thing will simply add Serpent Sting to all of your aim shots, which does a great amount of dotting. And it even works in AoE situations, so when your aim shot ricochets, it'll apply that dot to all those targets. So that is the by far and away the best one right now. All right, so Torghast, your setup is going to be a little different. In tier 1, level 15 is going to be Master Marksman. That one is not going to change. All right, so for level 25, you actually do have a decision mate. Typically for a single target, an explosive shot is probably better here. One of the weaknesses though of Marksman is in order for trick shots to be successful, it does need the mobs to be tightly stacked. This is not always going to be available. So for this, I would recommend Barrage, just because it does have good burst AoE. It can burn down a lot of low level mobs. And as well as you can misdirect it. Level 30, no change here, always natural mending. Times it is a AoE situation, so Streamline is going to be your best choice at level 35. Level 40, I'm always going to go with Post Haste. I just like the movement increase. Level 45, again, is going to be double tap. And level 50, because there are so many mobs, Volley is the way to go. Okay, so the top Anima Powers for the Marksman Hunter is going to be Sigil of Scoldus. Basically, anytime you drop a trap, that is going to increase your damage by you and your pet by 25%. Obviously, being Marksman, you're not going to have a pet, but that is how it applies. Soulforge Embers, obviously another very good one. You can drop down your tar trap, lighting a flare inside that burns everything for 240% of your attack power over 12 seconds. All right, guys, so that's going to do it for the Marksman Hunter. Personally, I'm probably going to do my open world questing as a Beastmaster. But inside of dungeons and raiding, I'm going to be switching over to Marksman. For the most part, the stats are pretty much the same, except obviously for Beastmaster, haste is more important and it's least important for Marksman. But Gear wise, it won't be a huge switch to be able to swap those guys out. Typically my thinking is that I will gear for marksman, and then I will be able to quest an open quest as Beastmaster with the survivability so that I can solo stuff. But in group content, definitely going to be going marksman. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if it gave you guys some help, please make sure to give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and remember guys that life is a circus. Enjoy that freak show, and I will see you guys next time.